Hey guys, Superhorrorbro Mike here, and in today's video we explore the puppet-infested halls of My Friendly Neighborhood as we try to work out exactly what this game is all about. First, a little context for the video ahead. Currently, the theories and speculation contained within this video pertain to a pre-release demo of My Friendly Neighborhood. The full game is due for release later this year. So we will be working with a few snippets of story information found within this demo, as well as a synopsis provided by the developer themselves. During this video, I'd like to discuss the premise for the game, as well as what I think happened at the studio and why the puppets act the way they do. So sit back, relax, and let's dig into the lore of My Friendly Neighborhood. Before we look at the puppets themselves, let's take a quick look at the premise for My Friendly Neighborhood. The synopsis on the game's Steam store page gives us the following information. My Friendly Neighborhood was a public access Saturday morning puppet show. It was designed to be both comical, exciting, and educational for child audiences across the globe. However, as time went by, interest in the show waned, and the production studio ran out of money and closed the studio doors for good. The show was cancelled, and over time the once popular mascots faded into obscurity. Then, one night years later, the studio unexpectedly flickered back to life and began broadcasting The Friendly Neighborhood once more. But things aren't quite right with these puppets or this studio, and so local handyman Gordon is sent to investigate the antenna at the top of the building and why it has suddenly started broadcasting once again. We step into the shoes of Gordon as he encounters the now violent and eccentric denizens of the studio. Along the way, one puppet in particular, a sock puppet called Ricky, seems to aid him. Though Gordon doesn't seem too keen on these mascot characters.
How do I get out of here, Ricky?
Oh, haven't a clue. Never come down here myself. Why? What's got your overalls in a knot?
I'm trying to get to the roof.
The roof? Look, you gotta give up this nonsense about the antenna. Looks very bad. Very unprofessional.
It's my job.
Look, Gordy, I know our routine's a little rough, but don't judge a show by its pilot.
But evidence suggests this was no ordinary TV studio. The puppets had a life of their own and were frequently up to mischief if not properly monitored. An obvious question to ask is, how are the puppets able to move and talk all by themselves? Essentially, these puppets seem to be living entities, with no human aid required to animate them. It could be argued that perhaps there are humans hiding within their suits, but this theory is easily debunked if we look at puppets such as Ricky, a sock puppet who moves through the pipe system, or Ray, a janitor puppet who, when using the out-of-bounds camera hack, we can see has a body resembling some kind of giant centipede. Also, I doubt humans could repeatedly smack their heads against a wall this many times without knocking themselves unconscious at the very least. So if these puppets do not contain a human host, then what happened to them? For now, we have very little information to go on, making almost any kind of theory purely speculative. With that said, there are some snippets of evidence which may point us in the right direction. Firstly, we have this poster advertising We Fixed It, a segment of the MFN show devoted to janitorial character Ray. Ray is a frog-like creature with a centipede body who fixes things in order to save the day, but did so with a decidedly grumpy demeanour, as this script page taken from his show segment illustrates. Ricky explains that Ray was always a little grouchy, but became dangerous and violent over time, resulting in his confinement to the basement. But back to that poster. You'll notice there is something a little off about the text contained within. On the surface, it seems like whoever wrote this paragraph made a series of grammatical errors, and while that is true, on closer inspection, we notice a few sentences here and there don't fit in with the rest of the messaging. Upon removing these sentences from the main body of text, we notice a few of them are quite unsettling and potentially suggestive to the greater story of the game. When the kids came to the shop, they began their work. I want to go home. The janitor's closet has a buddy in the ceiling. The light is leaving all of us. The first line, when the kids came to the shop, they began their work, could hint at My Friendly Neighborhood's plot involving children who befell a grim fate on the set of the show and then were used to bring the puppet mascots to life. This would explain some of the dialogue spoken by the puppets. Take Junebug for example. She has several lines which suggest she was once a very normal little girl before taking on her puppet's form.
I'm Junebug. I was asked to talk about responsibility. See, I used to be all turned upside down in my thinking about responsibility. I remember one day, I came downstairs, made breakfast for my parents, went to school, rode home on the bus, did my homework, and went to bed early. I used to be responsible. But then, I figured out that instead of being responsible, I could just eat gravel instead. Junebug, could you get the phone? My mom sometimes asks me to pick up the phone when she's busy. I used to be scared about talking to whoever called, but now that I've gotten used to it, I'm always excited to talk to them. All I have to do is tell them the truth.
If we look at this rules poster, we see number 4 is titled Children and states, children are to be kept away from puppets unless a handler is present. Their safety is our liability. So maybe something tragic happened to a child visiting the studio when they got too close to an over-enthusiastic mascot. Norman also says the following line about noticing the children, at which point he becomes panicked and hysterical for a brief moment.
Well, it's time for, what does Norman notice? I notice, cameras, lights, producers, children. Notice the children! Norman has noticed! Norman has noticed!
Could this hysteria stem from recalling disturbing memories associated with the fates of the children or a specific child who visited the show all those years ago? Was Junebug the result of a child who befell such an accident? The childlike nature of the puppets is also interesting to note. This rules poster goes on to mention how the puppets could not be trusted with dangerous materials, were hard to keep quiet, and were highly suggestive and prone to picking up bad habits such as swearing, all traits shared by children. The second line, I want to go home, hints at these lost souls wishing to return to their homes and escape their puppet imprisonment. Again, there is evidence in the puppet dialogue to back this up. Norman speaks of both wishing to escape the TV he feels trapped within, and also of his loneliness and desperation.
Hey there, kids! I live in your TV set. That's right, it's the strangest place to be, inside of your TV. Just get me out of here! That's right, grab your dad's toolbox, take the hammer, and crack that TV screen right open! Go ahead! You have no idea how many friends are in here.
However, it may not be exclusively the souls of children trapped within these puppet mascots. A note from employee Julia to her friend Benny speaks on how the city is becoming more violent and she is afraid to walk home alone. She says the only safe place is the neighborhood. This hinting at an attachment the staff felt towards this TV studio, one brought about by its family-friendly feel. This false sense of security may have caused the staff to overlook the fact that the violent crimes in the city were in fact brought about by the studio itself, claiming fresh victims for their living puppet initiative. Could Julia and Benny themselves have ended up as part of this puppet cast? The line, the janitor's closet has a buddy in the ceiling, could simply refer to the well-placed jump scare found in the demo, where a Norman falls from a vent in the ceiling of this locker room. However, it could also hint at the location of one of the victims' bodies, hidden away and forgotten about. When thinking about the hiding of bodies, we can connect up another strange dialogue strand. These puppets talk about bugs filling their bodies, and bugs being located at their homes. Take a listen.
Never heard a violin wafting from the basement? Never heard the flattening of the evening's garbage? The boiling of a dinner lobster? The faint whisper of a tree falling on you? The tingle of small insects biting your legs? The smell of burning hair? The feeling like you might throw up? You've never heard music? An assortment of the best bugs the world has to offer? Well, that one just appears in my house.
When dead bodies are left to fester, they attract insects, which begin entering the corpse and feeding upon it. So the puppet's fascination with bugs could also allude to the fate of their human bodies. Just food for thought. Finally, the line, "the light is leaving us all," seems to tie into the concept that these puppets are gradually growing more unhinged, violent, and erratic. Upon seeing Gordon, each puppet rushes in to attack. They do so with good intentions, wishing to hug their victims, but can't help but hurt them instead. After the studio was abandoned and the puppets left to their own devices, they seem to have gone stir crazy, which essentially means they have become distraught and violent due to prolonged confinement. The theme of just wanting a friend is heard throughout their dialogue.
And for me, your bestest friend, you can just bring a friend. All I need is a friend.
Along with the theory that these puppets may contain human souls, in some cases those belonging to children, we must also remember that these puppets were created with the purpose of educating and entertaining audiences around the world. So when denied the purpose of their existence, they fall into a state of delirium. The trigger for these violent thoughts may well be tied to the abuse these puppets went through at the hands of the crew members. If we recall a note left by technician Hank, he talks about the creation of the novelist shotgun and how fun it was bouncing Normans around with it. This gun was to be used as a special effect prop in the show. Constantly being shot, non-lethal or otherwise, would certainly be damaging to the mental well-being of these puppets, even more so if they are tied to a human soul. This rough treatment then translating into their own thoughts and deeds.
I learned my numbers when I was a kid. Here, let me show you how I learned. Hold your hands up in the air. Now, bring them down in front of your face. See? That's 2 hands. Now, take one of your hands, put it in your mouth, and swallow as hard as you can.
Let me tell you about the time my friend Leonard got me all upset at him. First, I beat him to the ground. Then I stomped his face.
The light is indeed leaving these puppets, and they are slowly turning into corrupted entities, wishing to spread malicious educational messages and bring harm to the very viewers they were once created to entertain. But for now, this is where we must leave our coverage of My Friendly Neighborhood. As we get closer to launch and more information is released about this puppet-themed horror game, you can expect me to return with further coverage, including a full playthrough, as well as a detailed look into the secrets and story of the game. For now though, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, comment down below, and of course subscribe for more horror-related content. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.